Hi everyone, Chris here. Thanks for coming by. We're going to have another great tutorial. We're doing a beautiful ranch house. Halloween time, pumpkins. People carving pumpkins in the back on the patio. Beautiful surroundings, trees everywhere. It's the fall time, Halloween time. Enjoy this painting, have fun. You could add more to this painting if you would like to, or you can make it more minimalized if you'd like. Maybe less details if you wish to. But in any case, we're going to cover all the details, all the methods that you're going to need to create this painting. Hope you'll enjoy it. We have a real fun time kind of covering the start to finish of watercolor paintings on my channel here, so that's really an exciting part of what I do. I try to cover all the details from the very beginning to the very end of the painting, so you're going to get all of the details on sketching this, drawing it, scaling it, getting your house in the rectangle the way you want to in your frame, picture frame, so to speak. We cover all the colors you're going to mix, all the techniques you're going to use to get your colors in and get your painting done, which ones you're going to do first, which techniques you're going to use first. Are you going to do the background first? Are you going to do the house first? Are you going to do the trees last or the bushes last or first? You'll learn all those things in this painting. So on this tutorial and in this painting that we're going to do. So strap in, enjoy. We'll get started in just a second. Chris Petri here. Welcome again, everyone. We're getting started with a brand new painting. We're going to have a lot of fun. This is going to be a painting we're going to kind of create as we go. We're going to just take some various things to work from. Let's start here. We're going to do, well, you saw the finished painting, of course. It's a gorgeous ranch house. It's autumn. It's around the Halloween time, so we're going to have some cool pumpkins. You saw that as well. So we're going to try to incorporate this painting into this time of year. And I'm going to take this, this is basically a blueprint of a ranch house, the side elevation of a ranch house. So this we can work into our creation of our painting here. So we'll put this here and we'll just make our usual. So we want to make our rectangle on our paper, just so we know where our fixed rectangle is going to be that we're working in. And I'll just lift this up a second, like that. Go across here, like that. And we'll put that back up here. I just want to make sure that's on camera so we can see that. So basically, I'm going to rough sketch this, preliminary sketch this elevation here of this ranch house. What I'll do is, again, I tend to like to break my paper into thirds most times, you'll notice. So 1/3 down, 1/3 up, and then you have the middle third. So that's kind of a good starting point if we want to start to think about this design of our painting. So I'm going to put the house here in the central location and I'll have the house setting upon the first third line. So let me make a line here across, a very, very light line. You probably can't see it right now on camera. I apologize, but you'll see that I'm doing this, and then it's easy for you to replicate what I'm doing. You're just trying to draw a very super light line across on your first third of the page up. Then we're going to set this ranch house about right in the center here. So I'll make the roof about the top of the roof, about the top third line. So then I'm going to go across again with a super light line, and we'll erase these sketch lines. These are just preliminary lines. We'll erase the lines as we need to. Most times you won't see any really super light lines. If you sketch in very, very light lines like this, you probably would never see them in your painting once you're finished doing the washes and everything. But it's better off if you want. You can just erase these once you're done, and you can even erase it now here on both sides. We really need this line for the roof. the ridge of the roof up here. So we want to make sure that we're about here with our line about here. So then I'd like to make this, I might even have to lower this line a little bit. Well, I think this will be good actually. This should be fine. So let's make this quite large in the painting, this house, the side elevation of this house. So we can kind of see over here, I'm going to draw a preliminary sketch of the house. So you could use a ruler if you want to sort of sketch in or get a few lines in here. So basically this line goes all the way across and it winds up this line here where the soffit is. The soffit of this roof over here, this section of the wall and the roof where that intersects, that's a straight line all the way across, and then it picks up where the gutter is over here and the fascia board on the bottom of the roof here. So let's just kind of take our ruler maybe, and this might be too big. It's kind of bumping into things over here. So let's do this. Let's take our ruler over here, and I'm going to take the ruler here and go across and kind of, I'll go a little bit past there, like that, and then draw a line across like that. So now we have this here, starting point, the end of the building, the end of the house, all the way across, and then now we're here. And then we just put this line straight. You could use a ruler again if you want. Not important to use a ruler all the time. If you can draw a pretty halfway decent straight line, you're good enough. You don't have to worry, but you can use a ruler too, especially with architecture. It's nice to use ruler sometimes. Just really keeps things nice and straight, and that's how we usually, in construction, we build things, you know, everything is level and plumb and straight with some, you know, minor variations to things. But so what I did is I looked at this picture and said, how high is this roof compared to this wall? And this roof's a little bit smaller in height than the wall is. So this wall is larger, and then the roof here is a little bit, it's not as high. So even if we scaled it and said, all right, how much is this? We could look at our thing and set our pencil and say, okay, the pencil lead is the roof. And then the pencil lead, and then another little bit is the wall. So now if I go over here and say, this is the roof, here's the wall, and a little more to the bottom of the wall. So that's a good ratio. We've kind of captured that look of the roof being a little bit, not as tall as that first floor. And it's a ranch house too. And then we go across here like so. Excuse me, I have a little bit of a cold. And then when we look at this wall here, where the door is, it's about, let me check here. I have my golden mean ratio. I don't know if you've seen these. These are great to have. These are the golden mean ratio measuring tools. They're wood. They have little screws in them. And basically it gives you the golden mean ratio. So you can just check this out over here and say, where did they put the door on this wall compared to the whole wall, the width of the whole wall? And then you see it's on the golden mean there, which is right here on this line. So we have to just simply take our measuring tool and just say, all right, perfect. That's where the door is right there. And then we can put in our door over here. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect. You can use a ruler. You don't have to use a ruler. Whatever you want to do, it's up to you. But that's about where the door would be. And then the window is slightly higher over here. Let's keep the window the same height. Maybe it looks a little better. I'm sure it looks a little better, a little bit higher maybe. I'm thinking I'm not going to try to. And then we might say, well, is that window on the golden mean as well? Let's take a look. Between the end of the wall here and the door, that window is right on the golden mean right there. So if we take this that would be the center of the window. So let's do that. That's the center of our window. And then we can create our window with our ruler if we want. I sometimes will break a plastic ruler in half. First I score it with a razor knife or something very carefully with gloves on. And then I score it on both sides with a razor knife with some heavy leather gloves first. I put those on first. Then it's a little bit easier to move around with a smaller ruler like this. So this is the center of the window. And then the window is approximately this high. And then we can just kind of get our window like so. And the window is about like that. You can kind of guesstimate on some of the things. You don't have to make everything perfect, you know. So we have our window there. I'm going to draw this darker. So don't worry, you're just kind of seeing how I'm doing this. And then eventually it's going to be darker. I'm going to take dark pencil lines and go around the whole drawing so you can see what it looks like with dark pencil lines. So now our next step will be to, let's see here. Let's get this ridge. That ridge tends to look like it's just a little bit to the left of this side of the window. Maybe I'll make it, and it's a little bit higher than the roof. So I'm just going to do that. I want a little bit high. This is the ridge of this roof here, and it comes down to the eaves. So we have our there. And then I guess the best way to do this would be to drop, if you want to get the center, if you want to make sure you land your other side of this gable roof here, this gable feature on the side of this house, if you want to make sure you land and have your triangle accurate, so you have a triangle here, the best way to do that would be just to drop a line straight down from the ridge here, make a dot there, then measure over and see how many inches or centimeters that is. And this is actually 9 centimeters. So then I just come over here, line it up, and say, okay, I got to be landing on the 9 centimeter point over here. And that'll give me a perfect triangle over here. Just a simple way to keep on track of really doing a nice triangle over here on the drawing. And that's it. We have everything all set up now. Perfect. The only thing I think I will add is, let's see, what can I add here? I'm just going to leave it as it is. I'm not going to add anything structurally to the... We're going to make a patio on one of these sides here. I'm trying to think of which side would look best for the patio. I think the patio would be over here. This would probably be a garage. This would be maybe the garage entry door from the side of the house. Garage over here in this section. And then this would probably maybe be a kitchen or a mudroom or something. Or a laundry room. Or it could be a bedroom. Could be anything really. Living room, kitchen. But this would probably be the door into the garage, I would say, over here. And then... maybe not though. That could be a entry door to the side of the house, and there could be a patio over here. Whatever. Let's just kind of keep moving along here. So I'm just gonna let's do the dark pencil line now. I'm gonna take a quick break though first. We did a lot of work so far. You kind of saw how I laid out things. This is kind of new. I don't think you've seen me use this before. I might have used this once or twice, you know, over the years. Once in a while, I'll just, since I'm creating something from scratch like this drawing with this architectural drawing, this is where I use this, you know, to try to find out if the architect that created this this elevation of this house, this ranch house, how they were doing their architecture, and they were using the golden mean for the windows and the door and their intervals between each on the ends of the walls coming inward. So just a little tidbit of information. These are really great to have. You can use these sometimes when you're doing your paintings. If you're doing something from scratch, you can use these to measure distances and maybe create more pleasing looking paintings by using this to create different distances between objects and things that you might be creating in your painting. That's all it is, really. So let's take a break. I'll be right back in a second, and we'll do the dark pencil drawing over this, and then we'll get into some more details on the sides of the house. We're going to maybe do a patio or something like that, maybe a table, some chairs, and we'll do some trees in the background, maybe a path or something like that on the side over here, or maybe we'll just leave this grass and we'll put a couple trees in here. We'll see. We're going to create this as we go, have some fun, just do some fun creative type work where we're not necessarily working from like a painting or maybe like a something online like a picture or anything like that. We're just making something from scratch, and I think you're gonna have fun doing these type of paintings. So we'll be right back in a second. All right, so we're gonna get started again. We're gonna actually do the pencil drawing now. So I'll do my contour drawing, and I'm just gonna go and start here. And you'll kind of see that now when you do your contour drawing, it can be, the first pencil line that we did, we actually used the ruler. Well, now when we're doing this part, you don't have to be as accurate. Kind of, you just draw it freehand if you can. If you need to use the ruler, that's fine too. And then that goes, this rake board goes right down into this fascia board here. And then we could put in a gutter too. Like that. And then this is a plumb line here for the edge of the wall. Probably a garage behind here, I would say. And then here's our roof. So we're just going to put some lines across like so for shingles, horizontal lines for shingles. And then once we paint it, we can add more detail if we want, but we just want to kind of denote that this is what we're doing. We're putting some shingles on there like so. Then we have, let's do our window here. So we're going to basically a square. And then there's the center of the window there. Let's do our door over here. So we're going to do our door here. We can make the door as interesting or as plain as we want. Maybe we'll do maybe we'll just leave it as it is. We'll do it like the drawing here. And again, the fun part's going to be painting this all and having a great time putting in the colors, and we'll add details as we go. I think I will do, let's see. Yeah, I think I'm going to do a pumpkin over here, a large and a couple small pumpkins here. So we're going to do this around the holidays here, that's Halloween. And then over here, maybe we're going to do maybe a table. So I'll do a table here on the edge of the painting. Like so. Maybe there's some chairs here. So I'll just do a couple indications of some chairs. Like this, and there's maybe another pumpkin over here on top of the table. So we have some pumpkins here, and this will be sort of like a patio area. And then we'll make a couple distant lines here for the, we'll make lines, horizontal lines here and there kind of denoting maybe the driveway. Maybe the driveway's here. So maybe we're a little higher up on a hill so we can kind of see some of the terrain here, kind of stepping back in the picture, and then we'll have some trees back here. So we'll do some trees, vertical lines here. And we'll do the same over here. We'll have these lines going back over here, like that. And then we'll do the same thing. We'll have some trees over here. So we might have quite a bit of trees. It's autumn time, so we might have a real fun time making some autumn colors for the trees. So I'm just doing some lines denoting some tree trunks and tree limbs and that kind of a thing. And we'll do that. And that often looks interesting if you have something kind of dominating a painting. So this might be like sort of a dominant part of the painting is the trees. So this is a very beautifully wooded area with lots of trees. I'll just slide that up a little bit here. And so there's tons of trees everywhere around the house. And there's lots of wooded area around the house. So we're going to do that. Apologies again for the cold. I have a cold, so I'm trying to take a lot of vitamin C and let's see now. Okay, that looks good. So lots of trees and tree trunks and tree limbs and branches here in the background. The dominant thing is, of course, this ranch house, beautiful ranch house here. And then we're going to have grass over here, and we'll make a nice green kind of grass and things like that over here. And then what we'll do is we will, maybe we'll use our golden mean scale device. Since we have that there, maybe I'll go here. So I'll make a tree here. So I'm just putting a place where I can put a larger tree here in front, like this. This will look really good. So we're going to do that. This will actually create more depth in the painting, so you're going to feel like the house is setting back further with adding this large tree in front here. And then we'll make maybe another tree over here. We'll use our golden mean scale device again, and we'll say, all right, maybe between the door and this tree, we'll make another here. And we'll make this a smaller tree. So this one won't be as big. It's going to be a little smaller. And we'll just kind of do that. Just get a few indications going of some branches and limbs and the trunk of the tree, and then we'll paint all the rest in. So no need to get too involved with pencil sketching in anything, more than just kind of the location of it and a few of the branches and limbs. That's all you have to worry about to start with it. Then you can develop more of it later with the paintbrush and the paints. And that's it, really. So all right, we have that there. So we have a large tree here, another smaller tree here. This looks pretty good. Maybe a bush over here along the side of the house. And then maybe this comes over here. So then we have a sidewalk over here, like that. And maybe another bush over here. So I'm just putting in some landscaping, some bushes along the side of the house that you might see. over here, maybe another bush over here. With some beds, you know. And I think that looks pretty good. So we have plenty of interesting bushes and some plantings, a couple of trees. Then you have all these wooded area behind the house with all these tree trunks and limbs and branches. So this is really going to look fantastic. All right, so I'm going to take another break. I'm glad you can actually see the process as we go here. I like to take the time in the beginning to cover all of the details of how I get to the drawing portion of this painting, and especially now that we're doing this from scratch, we're not really working from a photograph or anything like that, so we're going to create things as we go. But we know these are all standard things you'd always see at a house, right? If you're looking at photographs of homes and things like that online, you would just notice that these would be all the main elements you would see. You'd see trees, like a wooded area around the house, trees on the property of the house, on the lawn where the house is situated. You'll see shrubs and plantings. You'll see sidewalks and walkways and pathways where the doors are. And then maybe some patio furniture if it's a house that's people are actually living in at the time. You know, maybe if they stage a house for sale, they might remove some of the patio furniture and things like that to make it look more, you know, plain and basic. But in any case, I think this is a good rendition. We'll begin painting in just a few minutes, okay? I'll just take another quick break, and we'll come right back and start the painting process. Okay, we're going to pick right back up where we left off. I thought maybe something would look really good here. Maybe a chimney. Let's do a stone chimney on this beautiful ranch house here. So what I'll do is I'll erase some of these bushes down here at the bottom of the house. And I'm going to put it right here alongside this tree, like this. And usually it has to be a couple feet above the ridge. So that should be about good there. That looks good. So that's going to be our chimney here. And then we'll make a nice stone cap for that. And that'll extend out a little bit beyond the edges of the chimney. So we'll put a stone cap on that. Like so. And then we'll have a couple stone piers like this. And then maybe there's a couple of flue pipes in there like so. All right, good. We'll do some nice stonework on this chimney. We'll do clapboard siding on the siding for this house, this beautiful ranch house. And we should have everything looking really, beautiful. So let's start with the painting process. I just wanted to get in that chimney here. I think that will look really good. And brushes, what are we going to use for brushes? Well, we can use some square brushes. Round brushes, of course, always work. Those are always fantastic to use. So I'm going to start organizing my brushes over here. Maybe I'll get some fresh water. So I put some fresh water in a water container. So I like to use the collapsible water containers, or here I'm using a canteen water container. I fill it up with water, just about a quarter of the way up. I change the water frequently. So the next consideration we might think about is what's our colors going to be? What's our color scheme going to be in this painting? I'm thinking let's go with like a limited palette. Let's not get too fancy. Maybe we'll use some brown siding. Some brown siding, maybe some greenish brown siding. Like that. And we're going to make some stone colors. Let's use some cerulean blue, some burnt umber, some green. So we'll make, and then some burnt sienna, maybe some purple, some French ultramarine blue. So we'll make an interesting mix of raw umber too. We'll make some mix of raw umber. So our siding, let's make this kind of like a monochromatic color scheme on this painting. Let's not get too fancy with colors. Let's just try to keep it kind of like the some of those Wyeth, Andrew Wyeth paintings that you might see online or in books and things. You know, let's keep it kind of like in the browns and blues and greens. Let's try to see if we can kind of keep things a little bit subdued here. Let's not go too crazy with different colors. Let's see, what are we going to start with? Let's see. Maybe we'll go with the darkest dark first. Let's do the roof first. So French ultramarine blue, burnt umber, burnt sienna. Let's go with a dark roof up here. And again, we're going to have fun on this painting. We're not going to get too worried about suffering over details and all that kind of stuff. Let's just kind of get a basic idea of what we're doing here. So you can kind of see I'm using a darker mix with the French ultramarine blue, burnt umber, burnt sienna, a little bit of raw umber. Let's try to mix all those colors in there. Some green too. Let's add some green in there. A good, really good dark, the dark shingles here. Like that. And if you need more raw umber, so we don't have too much green in there, let's go back with some blue. But I think that should be fine. And you can kind of see I'm just blocking in this color here into the roof shingles area. And we can make a wavy roof line. It doesn't have to be straight, perfectly straight. We could go out a little bit here, and this line should be pretty straight. Let's kind of keep this one like that, just a little bit, maybe even like this here. Carefully bring this down here so we have a little bit of a, like that. That looks pretty good. We could even straighten this line a little more, make it plumb. Like that. Perfect. Now, while this sets up and starts to dry a little bit, we're going to scratch in some roof shingles. We're going to make the siding on the house a little bit brown, like so. So let's do that. I'm going to leave it a little bit light down here because we're going to put some bushes in there. So, and we can even add some bushes in there right now. Let's start to add some. Better off doing it now. Just blend in the bushes. Here, blend in the bushes. More of green, green and blue probably. Let's get the green and blue bushes in here right away, like that. I think that looks better than trying to do it later. This way we can kind of blend everything in at one time. And let's continue over here with our and you can lighten this up if you want over here. The reason I would lighten this up over here a little bit is we're going to have to put these trees in and things like that over here. And let's keep moving quickly. Okay, so there we go. We got all that siding in. We'll put some lines in there later with some, we'll use our needlepoint brush. We'll put some clapboard lines in here. You can also do some lines with, I'm using a chopstick that I carved some points on the end of the chopstick, and then you can kind of get scratch some lines in like this. So the roof, you have definitely some shingles, and then you can kind of do some hash marks this way. Just an indication of some texture and some lines, and you're fine. That'll be good. And the same over here. Let's try to get some lines in here for our clapboard siding. Just some lines in there. That's all we need, is a little indication of the lines of the clapboard siding. We don't have to get a ruler out and start measuring and all that kind of stuff. I'll paint right through the tree here. And if you go into the chimney a little bit too, that's not a problem. You can blot up a little bit if you go into the chimney. Probably good to tie in the chimney a little bit, just to get a little bit of color mixing in with the chimney. But we're going to make the chimney a little bit different colors. We're going to add some more interesting colors to the chimney and texture. Just recently we did a really fun video on making stone textures. So that's what we're going to do on this one here. We're going to make some interesting stone textures on this chimney. So you could take a little bit of the siding color, the clapboard siding color, and kind of blend it into the chimney a little bit. Kind of makes it tie in together and look sort of like it flows together really nicely, right? Versus just having it cut out and pasted looking. That's the problem sometimes with watercolor, is we don't want to have things looking like they're cut and pasted. We want to try to have things look like they're weaving and blending together. So we are in good shape right now. We've done a lot of work so far. We've got some really good, nice washes in here. Let's do some more bushes over here. So that's my sap green, raw umber, sap green, raw umber, burnt umber too, a little bit of that, a little bit of cerulean blue. Some warm and cool, so you have some bushes over here. Just a little bit of bushes, and we let the brush dance around on the paper. I think that looks good. And then we have another bush over here. This one's a little bit higher up, like that. And we can use again we can scratch out a couple like that, and you can scratch in some things like so. That usually tends to look good if you can scratch in a few lines but not overboard, you know, a little bit here and there. All right, looking good. So I add a little bit of wash there for the beds, a little bit. Like that. And since we're working in this area, let's I'm going to use my needlepoint brush here, get some darks, and we just get some that. And this just can get a few more details for those bushes. That looks pretty good. Okay. Now let's continue. Let's get the... I think we'll do some more French ultramarine blue, burnt umber, French ultramarine blue, burnt sienna, dark darks here. Let's do some dark darks on this window here, of the door here. So that's some... And let's do some dark darks for the window over here too. And the fun thing is just let it happen. Don't overthink it. Maybe a little bit of blue for the sky color. And again, I'm trying to keep this simple. We're not going to overthink it too much here. We're just... You can kind of see we're doing this alla prima. We're just going in and painting the house, the ranch house here. We did our darkest dark first on the roof, and then we started working in our clapboard siding, which was kind of like a brownish tan with some blues mixed in there, some cerulean blue in the mix, raw umber. So we kind of just mixed real simple mixes, nothing too crazy. And I think from this point, we could get a shadow under here, I think. So I'm doing some shadows under a little bit under the eaves here. And some more into here. So that's always good to do that, to try to get in a little bit of shadowing. This painting here is fine. We can get some shadowing under there. Purple. A little bit of purple shadowing mixed in with the other colors we've been using. And we have the tree over here. We could paint through that. Then we could take this and just kind of scratch out a little bit. And I think that looks pretty good. Maybe a little bit of color on this door here. We'll do some touch-ups on the trim of the house. We also needed to remove those pencil lines from the chimney. I wouldn't erase though when you're doing painting. That could be really a problem. So you would always let your painting dry 100% before you go in and start erasing anything. I thought I was pretty safe to do it now because the washes are dry where the chimney is here. But that's a bad habit sometimes. I've done that before where I've ruined paintings because I went in and started erasing while the paint was still wet, and it would just make a mess of the paper. So I think we look good at this point. Let's take a break. We're going to come back after the break. We'll do maybe some grass here in the foreground, and then we'll start working back further back into the painting, and finally we'll do the trees in the back, and we'll do the chimney too as well. So we'll work on those last bits of subject matter in the painting, but once you get the house in like this, you're in really good shape. I think this is really the main subject matter. This is the focal point of the painting, this beautiful ranch house with a chimney, bushes, interesting. We're going to have a little couple pumpkins here. It's the autumn time. We're going to have some interesting trees in the background to kind of just give a nice feel for the backdrop of the painting, and some grass here in the front too. We're going to do some interesting grass washes. But you'll see, this is pretty much, once you get this done, you're pretty much home free. Then it's just a matter of getting in your last bit of things done in the painting. But if you can get this much done, you're pretty set. So let's come back in just a few minutes. I want to take a break, and I always mention, please, if you haven't subscribed, on the right-hand side below here on the screen, you'll see the subscribe button. If you subscribe, it's fantastic. You'll get my videos when you open YouTube next time. So maybe next week, if you're going to start with another painting, once you open up your YouTube icon on your electronic device, whether it's your phone, your laptop, your computer, your iPad, whatever it is, you'll just see my videos there waiting for you, so you can watch those first. So if you just click the subscribe button, it's a simple thing. There's nothing else attached to that. You don't have to worry about getting emails or text messages or phone calls or anything like that. It's just YouTube's way of saying if you like my channel and you click subscribe, YouTube will just automatically send you my most recent videos into your YouTube homepage when you open up YouTube the next time. That's all it is, really. And if you like this video, please thumbs it up too, because that helps my popularity here on YouTube. I'd like to grow and do better on YouTube. So when you thumbs up my videos, it really helps me a lot to become more popular on YouTube. And this way I can have more outreach to everyone and help other artists, watercolor artists that are out there painting. So let's have a fun time continuing on here. We'll take a break and then we'll come back and we'll start working on the other final portions of this painting. Okay, be right back. Okay, we're going to get started again. Let's step up to a little bit larger brush here. So I'm going to go with a number 10 Da Vinci travel brush. So this is a number 10 brush. It's a little bit larger. You can kind of see the brush hairs are, you know, pretty good size here. So we can get some sky washes in here and even our grass along the front, the foreground of the painting. We can get a lot more accomplished with a larger brush. If we were to try to do it with this brush, we could do it. But you can kind of see the difference in the size of the brushes. So this is like almost twice the size. So much more water and paint in this, and we can go a little bit faster and get things in there. The washes in quickly. So I'm going to not going to mind about the water because we're doing some darker washes here. So I'll leave my water bucket the way it is. Let's continue to mix grass colors. And we're going to leave just what we have in the palette. We'll leave that in there. Sap green, burnt sienna, raw umber, a little more green, maybe a touch of lemon yellow. Okay, let's start getting some grass colors in here. And I'm just going to kind of scrub across the picture, add some water to my brush. Like this, burnt umber over here. So I want to make it more, maybe a little more subdued over here on the side. Let's make this more of a, let's see if that's a little bit, maybe a little grayer looking, like this over here. And you can see I'm just blocking in lots of wash here. Lots of wash. Now, I'm going to keep going here. I'm going to go right across the tree. So there is a tree here, but it's going to be dark. So we can paint over that if it's dark. One thing we'll always kind of remember when we're painting is if you have something that's quite a bit darker, then you don't have to worry. You can paint right over it. It'll look like it's tied in a little better to the overall painting. So, and I'm just trying to get in my grass, and that's a patio over here. So we'll leave that be like that. And some blue over here. So we'll gray this down a little bit. Over here, make it a little cooler. And you can kind of see I'm just trying to get my grass area filled in here. Get those brush strokes in there, like so. You can leave a little bit of white paper sparkle colors, maybe a little bit of light. Then you could get a little bit of lemon yellow, cadmium lemon yellow. And maybe put some light cadmium lemon yellow here in the center. Just right around here where this is. The center section right here. And that just makes it look a little more interesting. Maybe a little bit of green in there too. And if you add that little bit of extra excitement of color, that will sort of draw the attention of your viewer into the central location of the painting, like here. And then over here it's a little bit grayer, and we'll add some texture over here later. And then I'm going to rinse off the brush, dry off the brush on tissue or paper towel, and I just want to get a little bit of a wash on the sidewalk here, but not totally. Just a little bit of wash, just to make it a little bit like that. It ties it all in together nice. Okay, so that's good. We have the grass completed. We will add more detail to the grass here in the foreground. We definitely would want to do that. Then the next thing, let's see, what can we do next? Let's get some cerulean blue for sky color. And let's get some sky color in here. Just fire it in. Mix in whatever you have on the palette. Make sure it's predominantly cerulean blue. And just so you have some cerulean blue for the sky wash. So here we're going to add a nice wash right over the whole background. And you can put a little bit of extra. And I'm just trying to get the wash on here. Cerulean blue mixed in with a little bit of the other colors we have there. The raw umbers and browns and so forth. It has to let it blend with the rest of the painting. And I'm just going to get that wash right down to where the just like that. So you can kind of see I just basically got the whole sky wash in quickly with this larger brush, and that should be fine. Of course, we're going to go over with lots of tree branches and things like that, so okay, there we go. Now the key is we have to let this dry, this sky wash dry for certain before we do any tree branches and things like that. So let that dry. We're also going to have to let this grass area dry too, because if we're going to paint this tree here, this large tree with the tree trunk and the branches and things, all this has to be 100% dry. So now is the point where we kind of are sort of looking like a glazing technique in a sense. We do call this a alla prima painting because we're just painting everything at one time. But now that we filled in our sky and our grass areas, the paper's really wet, and then we have to think like a glazing type painter. So people that paint all the time using the glazing technique, they're always about light wash first and then darker washes over the top. So in essence, this is sort of like the glazing technique at the end of this painting, where I always say I use glazing technique and alla prima method interchangeably throughout the painting. So this is a point where I did the first part of the painting, alla prima, where I just went in, got in the house here. We did our ranch. We got this in. The grass we got in, all bushes, you know, everything in. But now we're doing like a glazing technique where we're getting the sky washes in and the grass in, really wet washes, lots of water, lots of paint. Then we have to let that dry 100% before we go in and do all the tree trunks and tree branches and limbs in the background here. And also to these, we're going to do a couple trees in the foreground right in front of the house to kind of make the house set back a little bit. It'll give it more of a three-dimensional quality. So you'll see how we're going to do that in just a few minutes, but we do have to let this dry 100%, the background cerulean blue, and also the green grass here in the front. So once we get those things 100% dry, you can use a blow dryer and continue working, or you can let it dry naturally for 2 or 3 hours. It depends on how warm or cool your working location is that you're working in. But for the most part, I'm going to let this dry for about 5 or 10 minutes, and then I might use a blow dryer, and then I'll get started again. So any way you want to do it, you're the artist. You decide if you want to use a blow dryer or if you just want to let it dry naturally. But in any case, it has to be 100% dry. Your sky background and your grass area in the foreground has to be 100% dry before you attempt doing any of the tree limbs, branches, as well as these trees in the foreground that we're going to do. So that's all you have to remember, is to let this dry 100% at this point, and you'll be set. Okay? All right, we'll be right back. Okay, I just I used the blow dryer and I dried off my paper. It's fine. It looks good. Everything is dry. So now we're going to go in and keep on working on the painting to finish it up. And I think what we'll do next is we're just going to take some of the same colors we have here in our palette, and we're just going to start doing our stonework here. And basically with my stonework, I'm just going to use warm and cool everywhere. So cerulean blue and the browns and the umbers. And I'm just going to make stone formations here. So stone formations are fun. You can splash a little bit with the stone. And you don't have to do all of the stone everywhere. If you just do sections of it. Like here and there, you kind of work on the stone formations. Usually it works good. You kind of do like a small bit of stone over here, small, kind of like a sawtooth effect here. So you're kind of doing one in, one out. So here you can see I do one in, one straight up. Then we might have another one here, like this, coming in like so. Like that. Then some smaller stones around it. So lots of small stones too. You could do a little finger painting. As you're going up the chimney here, you can kind of do the a large stone here, like that, and a couple small stones here and there. Tap a couple spots with the finger, do like a little bit of finger painting. And I just use, cerulean blue and the burnt umbers and greens, just all the mixes that you have in your palette. You can just kind of grab any old mix there. It's going to work good. Trust me on that. You want to have this blend in pretty much to your painting. You don't want to make your chimney anything other than the same colors you've been using all along here, because that'll really give you a problem. And if you do a little splashing, that's going to help. Those will look like little stones, like so. So you can add in some little splashes, and already you can kind of see it looks pretty good. It looks like we have some good stone. Stone there, stone here. Then we'll have a little bit of a brown color here. So we try to mix the colors as you go. And then some, little smaller stones. A little finger painting. You do some finger painting on your chimney here. That's a good thing. So this way you get that random kind of look where it's not all, kind of worked out. You kind of have it looking random, like stonework. If you want people to look at the chimney and say, wow, that looks really great. It's a stone chimney, but we don't want to make it stick out and look awkward, looking like we took 10 hours to do the chimney and then we did the other part of the painting in 20 minutes. So that's why it's kind of important to have everything blend together when you're doing your your painting, on this style painting, you wouldn't, again, you wouldn't want to spend like 2 hours doing your chimney, because then you would actually see that. Someone would look at it and they wouldn't consciously say, oh, that person took 2 hours to do the chimney, but they would, in their mind, would perceive it that way and go, oh, that doesn't look like it blends in with the rest of the painting, because it looks like they did too much work to the chimney, and then the rest they did kind of quickly and rapidly. So you want all of your painting to be harmonized. So if you're going to paint a painting fast or quickly or rapidly, then you want to do all the sections of the painting the same way, rapidly, right? So if you were going to take your time and take four hours to do your house, if you really want to make it super detailed, which you can do, you're the artist, you can do this painting any way you really want to. So if you're going to paint your house, let's say, once you draw your house, and then you start painting it, all the different colors you're going to paint your siding, your roof, and if you take 4 or 5 hours to do that, well, then by all rights, you should probably take, quite a bit of time too to do, like, let's say, the chimney or the trees, so that everything kind of matches. So it really, I guess the basic essence of it is, however you set the pace for your painting, it needs to kind of be the same going all the way through. And I know when I first started watercolors, I had that problem where sometimes I would take a lot of time to do one section of my painting, and then I would do another section real fast. And then I would step back and look at it and go, oh, I could see it. It's kind of weird looking. It doesn't look like it's harmonizing together. So that's why I say, if you are going to paint more rapidly and quickly, then paint the whole painting that way, no matter what portion of the painting you're painting. Make sure you're working kind of quickly, and that'll look fine. It'll all blend together and look good, and whoever's looking at the painting will say, wow, that's a pleasant, positive looking painting. Whereas if you take one part of the painting and do it really fast, and then you take 4 hours to do the chimney, that's not going to look good. So that's all it is keeping the same pace going throughout your whole painting, and then you're all set. You kind of have the basic idea of it. So you can kind of see I did my chimney pretty quick, and then you can do a little finger dabbing here and there, pick up some paint, and then we'll do some stonework here on the top, some stone piers on the chimney underneath the stone, and then this stone is going to be blue stone up top here, so we're going to leave that like so. Then we'll do some orange for our flue pipe. So we put a little bit of orange there, a little bit of cadmium red maybe. Cadmium red and cadmium orange. There we go. And that looks fine. And if you want to lift it up a little bit, if it's too, that might look too, like we haven't used a lot of high intensity colors. That looks too high intensity for our painting, and that's another thing. Colors work the same way as pace. So if you're working at a rapid pace painting your painting, well, the same thing with colors. If you're using more mellow, limited palette style colors on your painting, you're going to want to keep that same idea going through. So even though I like an orange and red color for the flue pipes inside this chimney, on top here, I realize if I make them too high intensity, it's not going to look good. That's why I just made those more of kind of a darker wash, so that doesn't look awkward. Okay, and then a little bit of French ultramarine blue for shadow under here. I just want to get a bit of a darker shadow under there and there too. And that looks good. And we can use a little bit of French ultramarine blue and kind of get a darker shadow under there like so. So you can add a little darker shadow under here. Like that. And I'll put a little shadow under there too. Like that. Okay, so we're moving right along here, let's get our needlepoint brush. And then now we're just going to go in and get some colors going here. Burnt umber, French ultramarine blue, cerulean blue. And then I would say let's do some trees in the background here. Now these are going to be trees in the background, tree trunks. And I think if we just get some tree trunks here and there, like this. And we start them at the very top of the trim on the roof. Make sure we don't go below the trim. And you can always use a little bit of titanium white to touch up a little bit if you have to. But I'm just going to try to do some backdrop work here with these. I don't want to go too, like, let's not fuss too much, okay, with this. Just get those vertical lines, just like this. You don't have to work rapidly. We've been working rapidly the whole time, so let's not change our game plan again. Keep everything. Just every once in a while, you might do a little fancier tree limbs and things like that, just to kind of keep it honest. But the rest, you can kind of just get some verticals in there. You know, get some verticals in there, 40-degree angle branches. Once in a while, I'll do a happy little crooked branch that goes down this way and that way. This is just natural nature as it is. It just, everything is not perfectly straight, or, you know, there's branches that kind of angle downwards. And if we look at nature and study nature, you'll see that that's true. There's always some branches that kind of, there's some trees that kind of might be on an angle, have a few and you can see I'm really rapidly working here. I'm not taking too much time, just doing verticals. Pretty much you can even do a whole bunch of just straight verticals, you know, like this, do this. If you want to kind of see a method of it is just straight verticals here and there, just get them in, lots of verticals like this. Then you go back in and then you start doing some angles like this. So you can angle off those. And then a couple down here and there, a couple. And what we will do is we'll do more interesting details to this background. You'll see how we're going to actually, we're pretty much winding down now. We have most of our information in, so that's good. This is totally fine. You have most of your background trees in now. So this is, you can tell this is a very wooded, beautiful area where there's lots of woods and trees and all right, that's fine. It's autumn time, so lots of branches. We'll put some interesting washes on top of those once those start to dry. And so now let's come back over here. We're going to put in the driveway, maybe a little bit of blue. French ultramarine blue for the driveway, so that's more of a cooler, darker wash for the driveway area here. And we're going around those two pumpkins. We're going to put some pumpkins in. Then over here, green with some of the gray mix. We want to leave this kind of gray down a little bit, like that. And then even more some blue, a little bit of cerulean blue. And then here the same thing, let's kind of work in some greens and over here in the patio area. Like that. And then more blue, cerulean blue. And we're just going to mix in some trees in the background. So this is where now you're going to kind of get in some interesting we're just putting in some there's still some leaves on the trees back here, so we'll put some of those in there. And this kind of again layers in things, so you're seeing some other trees in the background here, just indications. I'm just picking up some colors here, just to get in some of the like that. And you can fine-tune this too and adjust it to if you think you could make it better. I'm just giving some ideas here on making some really good backdrop for this painting. I think it looks pretty good. Again, you can do more. Maybe some darker bushes even. Like that. So you can do all kinds of interesting things. You can layer things more if you want. Along this line here, back here, there's might be some more darker browns, blue, burnt umber, burnt sienna, a little bit of green. You know, you can do some more layering and things like that. And at this point, we're really looking good. I think we're going to use our number 6 Raphael brush to do this foreground here, this tree in the foreground. Again, burnt umber, cerulean blue, burnt umber. I'll use quite a bit of paint here. Almost straight paint and almost no water. So it's burnt umber and also French ultramarine blue, cerulean blue, maybe a little burnt sienna, raw umber. Then I take my brush and I dry a little bit of the paint off there once I get it mixed on there really good. And then I'm going to try to just take this and just kind of go up like so. Like that. Then I go in and do lift up a couple spots. like that. Maybe I add a little more dark to the bottom. Couple splashes, blend it in a little bit. Some bark, just scratch away a little bit of paint for some bark. That looks really good. That kind of gives us some, and I'll just do a couple limbs coming up this way, branches. Like that. Excuse me. And this. And then that looks pretty good. Burnt umber, French ultramarine blue, cerulean blue. With a needlepoint brush, and then you can kind of do some finer branches here. And that looks really good. If you're doing this tree trunk here in this tree, you're going to see more interesting, like finer branches and things like that. And that just really looks good because it's closer to us. So the closer the tree is, the darker the colors are going to be for the branches. Like that. That looks good. And then we'll do one more tree over here. And there we have a smaller tree here with some branches coming out. It's autumn, so in the autumn time, probably not a lot of leaves on the trees and things, so that's one thing that's kind of, you might do a little bit of, maybe some, you could do a couple scrubs here and there for some leaves if you want, like that. We would do some kind of purpley, I'm going to make like a purplish shadow color. This I'm just trying to cover over this really stark white. I think we won't leave any white paper on this really so much. So we try to blend everything in, looking good. So that to me looks pretty good. I think we've covered everything we need to. And again, you can do a little more work to it. Maybe we could add some details over here to the furniture, the patio furniture. We'll do that maybe. So we will take one more break just so that we can finish up the last few details, but you can kind of see we have everything pretty much looking good. We could add again, you know, some yellow ochre and You know, we could do a little bit of leaf forms over here, like that, and up here too. So I did some over here with some more like rust looking colors and browns and golds. You could add some green, but that looks pretty good. Scrubbing on just a little bit of color of some little bit of you could finger paint some stuff too. Dab on a little bit with some finger painting techniques. And I think we'll take a break and we'll come back and we'll do our last little bit of details over here to the patio furniture. And that'll be it, I think. Maybe we'll do a figure over here too, maybe. That would look good. Maybe a figure over here on the back area where the patio is. And our pumpkins. We almost forgot our pumpkins here. So I will get some fresh, clean water. So I'll take a break. And when we come back, we're just going to do our final touch-ups here to the painting. We don't want to... overdo it. That's the thing. Be careful not to overdo your paintings. Try to keep them looking try to have them looking fresh and not too overworked. Okay, just a second, we'll finish up. Okay, we're wrapping up here. This has been fun. We've had a lot of interesting methods and techniques that we've used throughout this painting, so we're actually in great shape because we've practiced a lot of different things so that any paintings that we do in the future, we're going to be able to navigate through them pretty well because we've learned all the different alla prima techniques, glazing techniques within the same painting, alla prima and glazing techniques within the same painting. We've learned a lot about laying out our paintings from scratch, doing just some interesting work with grabbing a couple things off the internet. We did pretty much a quick rendering of a house, the side elevation of a house, using a blueprint that we found online, and then we just used some basic ideas of creating some clapboard siding, some wood siding on the ranch house, and then we added a chimney in there to make it even more interesting. And then now we're just going to finish up and we'll actually create a little bit of interesting table over here. So we're going to do a little bit of a shadowing under this table and under the chairs here. So I'm just going to do a little bit of highlighting here underneath the chairs and table. And I think that's all we really need to kind of have it looking good. And maybe a couple legs of the table too, and some, I think that looks fine. Maybe a little shadow on the bottom here, like this, a little shadowing there. And then we're going to put a pumpkin. So this is one area we can add a little interesting color. We're having a couple pumpkins here, carving some pumpkins for Halloween. There's a couple pumpkins over here. So this is Halloween time in America and around the world. Many people celebrate Halloween, that fun time of year in the autumn. So we do some pumpkin shapes over here and over here too. And let's do maybe one more over here too. So let's do one on the side here by the door. A couple more here. There, and another one here maybe. Like that. Okay. A little bit of blue maybe just for some shadowing. A little shadowing under there. Okay. Nothing too fancy or detailed at this point. We're pretty far away from the house, so we're not going to have too much detail on these pumpkins. You know, just a little bit of shadow maybe I think that looks good. And then maybe let's do a figure. Let's do a figure, and let's keep the figure real simple. Let's just remember that the height of the doors is about the height of the figure in this painting. So we wouldn't want to make a figure where the head of the figure is up here by the top of the roof area. We want to keep the figure about a little bit below the tops of the door here, because if you walk through a door, your head is pretty much about a foot underneath the door. So a foot underneath the door here, if we trace that line over, it's about here. So let's take our figure and maybe we'll just make a head shape here, and we'll actually do some interesting. Let's do, maybe we'll do a red shirt here, maybe. And we'll do, some cerulean blue, maybe some cerulean blue for the pants, maybe some jeans here, like that. And some, like that. Okay, there we have it. We have a figure in the back of the house here. Maybe two. Let's make another one here. Let's make two figures here. Maybe this one is working on the table. And we'll do some red there for the face. And this one will make a little more subdued, like that. Like that. There, so we have a couple figures in the back. If something goes wrong with your figure and you think it doesn't look good or something, you can always quick blot up the paint with a little bit of tissue, like that. Maybe you made the head too big or too small or different color than you wanted to. And then you can just go back in, you can let it dry a little bit, or you can just, once you dry that with a tissue a little bit, it dries up the paper, and then you can start again, and that looks better. And then maybe a little bit of hair on top here, so just something like that. So a couple figures in the back here, by the back of the house. That looks good. They're doing some pumpkin carving and things, having fun. It's around the holidays, the Halloween holidays here, and I think that's good. I think we have everything we need completed here, and I want to thank you again for coming by and watching on this tutorial. A fun painting, lots of details, lots of fun things, and we learned a lot about painting rapidly, not taking too much time on one item, trying to just work a rapid pace throughout the painting. And again, if you try it 2 or 3 times, each time you do it, you'll be able to work more rapidly or more quickly, of course. But if you do take your time, then you would want to take your time through the whole painting. So basically the pace and the rhythm of your painting is really important. So we learned a lot of good things in this painting, and I'm sure you're going to go back and watch it again even to have fun and practice some more skills that you need to get this done. You need some good practice on your needlepoint brush to get your trees in the background. We had to work on our using some techniques with our, basically you can use, I use chopsticks, and I whittle the edges of the chopsticks to make points on them, and then I can use those to scratch out for some roof shingles, so you can do roof shingles. And you know what, we can even kick it up one more notch here if we want to. Let's take some white, titanium white or Chinese white. Let's use Chinese white, actually. I think I have some Chinese white here. And we'll do some smoke for the chimney. Why not? Okay, so we have some Chinese white there. Let's get some water. Let's get that activated. So now we have Chinese white. And then we just put some Chinese white on the paper where the chimney is. Just splash it on there. Maybe you can even dab it with your finger a little bit to give it that smoke feel. And all you need is just a little bit there. And it really works wonders. And you can blot up any splashes that might drift onto your painting somewhere else. Don't worry about it. That comes right up with no problem. Just like that. And even if you want, you could add a little bit of Payne's Gray with Chinese white. We'll maybe add a little more Chinese white and Payne's Gray. Like that. And then a little more Chinese white here. There you go. So we can have a little bit of smoke coming from our chimney. Okay, we'll see you on the next video. Thanks again for watching. Thanks so much for stopping by. Thanks for leaving comments in the comment section. All your great comments that everyone likes to watch and learn from. And also your kind compliments all the time. Greatly appreciated. I'm really happy to be here on YouTube, and we'll see you on the next video.